What's going on, guys? It's Coach Bronson here, and I am in Las Vegas at the Las Vegas Keto Expo with Joe and Rachel from Two Crazy Ketos.
Hey, guys.
And I just wanted to take this opportunity to let them kind of tell their story. You know, what your transformation's been, what your journey's been, things you've learned, what you're passionate about now.
Yeah.
All the things, right? Because you guys you shared a glimpse of that, which I did not know prior to Louisville.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Where a lot of that stuff that you guys had talked about. But you hit on some really poignant pieces of the puzzle for people from self-image perspective, from, you know, how you see yourself then, how you see, you said, you know, when we talked about not wanting to be in pictures.
Yeah.
Right? Just all of the different things, but then how that's changed. Now you're on video and on YouTube in front of thousands of people every day.
Who are
What's the change?
Who are these
right?
people?
How does that happen? Where does that come from? So feel free to introduce yourselves and kind of talk about where did your journey start?
Absolutely. Well, it's such a privilege to be here, and Coach Bronson, you've been such a part of our journey, like moving forward and where we want to see ourselves in the future. But I love this opportunity to talk about our past. So yeah, go ahead, Joe.
So I'll talk about me. I've been obese most of my life. I mean, there's a few pictures of me when I was 8, 9, 10 years old where I was super skinny with like white hair, but I quickly started like gaining weight, and you know, like all through middle school and high school I was heavy, but I would cycle because like I was in the Boy Scouts and I would go to Boy Scout camp, and so during the summer, because we were climbing up and down mountains for 5 weeks, I would lose weight and then I would come home and I would put the weight back on. But I remember going shopping for clothes and having, as a 13, 14-year-old, having to buy husky sizes.
Right.
And my mom always saying, like, you need to lose weight, you need to lose weight. So it was immediately ingrained in me that I always had this weight issue and a complex about my weight. And, you know, I would go up and I would go down and I would go up and I would go down. And my highest known weight, and I say known weight because I'm almost positive that I was a lot heavier than this, but we were talking about it at dinner the other day. I got to the point where I didn't want to get on the scale because I didn't want to see the number 3
I don't want to know.
at the first number. And so if I didn't see it, it didn't exist. So my highest known weight that I ever got on that scale was 288 pounds. But that was 4 months before I started the keto lifestyle.
Okay.
And at that point, I knew I was bigger because I had pictures of me when I, was 25 years old, and I weighed 260 pounds in those pictures, and I was wearing a size 38. But yet, when I was 36 years old, I was now wearing a size 44, 46.
Wow.
And again, my last known weight was 288 pounds.
Because when you're going up and down,
it's a slow progression up that you
right,
don't notice.
And you were always putting on more fat and
right,
more fat.
and it goes in different places without permission.
Yeah.
I mean, just it goes where it wants to go.
You know, and I would get myself down to as low as I think 235 pounds, but it was always through different types of diets. And I don't like diet because to me a diet, it's a restriction thing, and as soon as you start restricting, you start thinking that you're deprived, and therefore it no longer becomes sustainable. But I had tried Jenny Craig. The only thing I ever tried was weight loss. Was Weight Watchers. I tried Jenny Craig and Nutrisystem, and I tried working out, and I tried just not eating and eating only vegetables. I tried all of it, but none of it was sustainable for me.
So how is keto not a diet?
Because it became a lifestyle for me, because I don't feel restricted on keto. Are there certain things that I choose to not eat? Yes, but I've chosen to not eat them because they don't make me feel good. So Steve from Keto Chow, like he says it best, pain is a really good motivator.
It is.
And when you stop eating all those foods and the pain goes away, that motivates me to not want to eat it anymore.
Well, pain is also a restrictor.
Yes.
So I saw a post, I don't know who did it, but it was, the idea is, okay, so you think this diet's restrictive, is pain restrictive, is not being able to take part in activities restrictive, is being on medication restrictive, is having to go to the doctor 3 times a month restrictive, like all of these things, is having to spend money on medicine and pills and blah, 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 all these medical things, right? It's restricting your wallet. Like there's a ton of other things in your life that are more restrictive than choosing not to eat foods that make those things happen.
Well, I'm going to
Exactly.
say this.
Right.
That we've said it on a lot of videos, and I truly believe this. If you want to look at keto as a diet, I think keto is the least restrictive diet
Yes.
there is out there. And you can look at some of the things. So you look at people go on just a calories in, calories out diet, which doesn't work. You're restricting. You're
Right.
restricting calories.
Everything.
And you start going, well, I can't have this, and I can't have that, and I can't have this. And then you get people who feel like that a calorie is a calorie is a calorie. There's no difference between eating 100 calories of Oreos and 100 calories of chicken. Well, there is. So it becomes extremely restrictive.
Yeah.
If you want to go on to a plant-based whole foods diet, you have to restrict all meat, all fat. So you become, here, what are we doing? You can't eat sugar or bread or pasta.
Which I don't think that any diet is like pro sugar. That's the way to go. Like I
Right.
think even the sugar companies know like this. We should not be the largest part of your diet if you're looking for any kind of health stuff. And I have a very similar story to Joe. I have been heavy my entire life. I was a chubby third grader, and the fact that I was super nerdy too, that really helped. I
You're
mean,
nerdy?
It really, like the whole middle school was just so delightful, you know, to be like both chubby and nerdy. But yeah, and I only knew to calorie restrict. Basically, if you didn't want to be morbidly obese, and I was morbidly obese. In fact, I stopped weighing myself at 265, knowing that 300 was just in sight. And so, yeah, we both stayed away from scale. It's interesting now, we have a hard time staying away from the scale, but when we were heavy, it was okay to pass on the scale. So we need
We
to
didn't
get
own a scale.
Right. So we need to get the mindset of like the scale didn't help us when we were heavy, and the scale doesn't help us
Right.
now that we're not as heavy anymore. But I actually calorie restricted and lost 100 pounds eating nothing, not like, oh, sometimes I eat other stuff. No, for 2 straight years, I ate nothing but oatmeal and a little cup of Greek yogurt.
It was actually 1 cup of oatmeal.
Yeah.
And it was a half a cup uncooked.
Right.
Wow.
And it was a half a cup of non-fat Greek yogurt, and that is all she ate every day. And she learned to manipulate the oatmeal, learning that you can put more water
Tons
and
of
cook it
water.
longer. And
It'll-
so it would
more
just
volume,
get bigger and
right,
bigger and
right,
bigger.
right, right.
So literally, she would have a half a cup of oatmeal, but it would fill a giant mixing bowl. You would end up with like 5 cups of oatmeal from the half a cup dry.
So
Wow.
I was, you know, in theory, starting to achieve weight loss. Not surprisingly, I had absolutely no energy at all. My skin had turned a green color and was absolutely covered with all kinds of acne. My hair had fallen out. I mean, it's just not surprising.
Right.
I'm not giving any nutritional,
Anything.
benefit to my body. So I was very weak. I did not have the stamina for anything. So I had a smaller shirt size, but I had a very small life also. So, and that was very frustrating.
I like that. I like
it,
that.
It was really not, it was not as great as I thought it was going to be.
There's a t-shirt.
Yeah, there you go.
Small shirt doesn't equal big life.
No,
I like that.
and I was living.
I got to jump on that before Bronson takes that.
Talk about restricted. It was very difficult to like go out
Yeah.
with friends. How do you explain to people like, I can only have this oatmeal? Does this restaurant have oatmeal? Because that's all I'm eating. So I wasn't going out and meeting people, and that was, something that felt familiar to me because I've also had crippling anxiety and depression my entire life. And so it was easy for me not to engage. So even though, again, it was a small life, I wasn't meeting people. I wasn't even enjoying a smaller pair of pants because I couldn't put myself out there. So when Joe discovered the keto lifestyle and started eating keto food, I was just angry, honestly. I mean, because our plates were so different now. And I kind of expected that we were going to have different plates because he ate a variety of food even when I was losing weight. But now the food just looked
So good.
Well, the problem was, though, that you need to touch on is that after the 2 years and getting down 100 pounds,
I didn't keep the weight off.
it began to come back on eating the same
food, right.
So she was so terrified that she was going to gain the weight back, she wouldn't eat anything else. And then slowly crept on. I don't even know how many
70 pounds.
So you lost 100,
I
and then
lost
you gained
100
70 back.
without
I
ever
did-
changing the
Without
diet.
changing anything.
Not changing anything, because I was only eating carbohydrates. I had put my body in a starvation mode, and so it was storing everything. So the fact that I thought to myself, there is no way I can restrict more.
Right.
Like, where do I
Right.
go from 500 calories? And so Joe said, why don't you give it a try? And so I went ahead and gave it a try. And that was very scary, to make that huge leap from such calorie restriction to being able to eat actual food and a variety of food.
But you quit.
When we first got started, I got so excited that I had access to different foods like nuts and cheese that I had not eaten in 2 years, that I really overindulged, and I led with that, because that always feels natural, that you're going to sacrifice protein. You're always, you know what I mean? Like, that's always been the challenge for us, is to make sure that we're leading with protein and not necessarily being like, okay, well, I can have a keto treat and I can have cheese.
Right.
And so I'm going to now, I can have Miracle Noodles. So I'm going to make the largest part of my diet look like
fun stuff.
that, the fun stuff. The side dishes should not be the main event,
Right.
but we make it the main event.
But what happened was, I had started doing CrossFit. We got into a weight loss bet at church, but it wasn't a pounds loss, it was fat loss. So I started doing
Which
CrossFit.
is the best kind.
It
I
is.
love that. I
Yeah,
love
so we
that.
all went and got measured with calipers
I
and
love it.
everything.
I love it.
And my son actually won.
Oh, really? I didn't know that. Okay.
So my son actually won. But what happened was, we'd gotten into this, and I have a lot of restrictions because I have injuries to my body. So I couldn't do CrossFit the way a lot of people did. So one of the trainers there actually would work with me personally to modify everything.
Yep.
And then the CrossFit closed. And we were getting a really good price because the owners of the CrossFit went to our church, and we were basically paying half price. We're paying like $60 a month.
Which is crazy, too.
CrossFit,
Yeah, that's
really
yeah.
cheap.
Because
good.
what you're getting,
Right. And I could not afford to go to a more expensive CrossFit. Our son did, but it was great for him because he was 23 years old, 22 years old, and he went from being a chubby kid to this really well-built kid. But for me, I was like, now what do I do? I still want to win this bet, but more importantly, I really wanted to lose the weight, because I finally was at that tipping point where, like, okay, I'm just not feeling good. And I discovered keto, and I had a lot of success on it. And, but for me, I was already kind of active.
Yeah.
And so it jumped on. But I think that Rachel's issue also was, aside from the nuts and stuff, she'd been under eating so long that after a month where she didn't lose any weight and I had lost 20 pounds, didn't realize, hey, my body's got to heal.
Right, there- yeah.
From 2 years of under eating.
Completely different places that you
Right.
started at, right?
And
Yeah.
Yeah.
I continued on, and I lost like 80 pounds in 6 months. And then what happened was, the following January, Rachel was back to restricting, and she was eating like 300 or 400 calories a day.
because that's got to work.
And I had said to her, 3/4 of the way through the month, here's what I want you to do. At the end of this month, I want you to try keto again, because we measured her ketones, and this is good for people who think that like that ketone number means everything, because she was eating at that time Slim Fast shakes and coconut water, both of which have a lot of sugar in them.
Yeah.
Yet she was in ketosis. So we measured her ketones,
From a
and they were
ketones
like
perspective,
4.8.
right. Ketones.
'Cause she was starving herself.
She
I
was
was
starving,
starving.
and that's
Yeah.
what ketosis itself is.
Right.
If you undereat enough, you're gonna, even if you're eating only sugar,
Yeah.
you're gonna get high ketones. Does that mean you're healthy? No, you're not. So I said to her, you're already in ketosis, so I want you to give this a try. And so she looked at me and she's like, I will try this again, only if you eat every piece of food if you cook every piece of food that goes on my plate. And
Okay.
I agreed.
She really just wanted you to start cooking.
I did.
Well, I
just
was
wanted-
already cooking.
Well, I
but
just
she
wanted
wanted
to
the
do it
good
all.
food now.
Yeah. So, and that was, and it was still slow in progress.
The
Yeah.
first month, she almost quit again.
Because that's the thing, we're so used to like a McDonald's drive-through mentality. I want a number 2. You know, just because Amazon Prime can deliver your toilet paper the next day doesn't mean that your health plan can be delivered to your doorstep the next day. It takes time. You know, just because I'm like, I want a number 2, like it doesn't just come automatically. So once I gave it time for me to heal, time for me to get in the right mindset, I started to see results. But it still wasn't on the scale. It was in my clothing because I was losing fat, but I just wasn't necessarily losing pounds, like because your bones and
everything else is getting healthy again. So you're balancing that out with,
So what I thought was good that it made me stick with it is I lost my back boobs. I had like a fat deposits on the back that I was like, wow, I've got a C cup back here. So when Joe said, don't give up, like look from behind, let me take a picture from behind and show you what's going on back there, baby. And then I thought, okay, well, I'm looking better, which is a desired result. And I was feeling great.
So how long ago was that?
So that was
almost 3 years ago.
3 years. That was 3 years ago.
Yeah.
So 3 years ago, you were really focused on the weight's not coming off, this isn't working.
Yeah.
How much do you still battle that?
It is, I think, because...
Even after 3 years of success?
Because you have 40 years of indoctrination of negativity. The negative speak, like I am now taking from Coach Bronson what he has to say. And that's why I think the coaching is so important in your life, because I need that other voice. If I am the only voice coaching me, then when I feel not great or I'm upset or it's comfortable to go back to the negative way I spoke to myself, then I hear that, and that's the only coach in my ear. I need an outside coach that's saying the truth to me and is not filtered by my emotions in the moment. So, you know, when Coach Bronson is like, you know, you need to keep going, or some of the simple things of we were talking about getting fit and putting 15 minutes. I just want to see you do 15 minutes a day. It helps to have all of my excuses just dealt with. You know, it's very interesting replacing the negative speak that I always thought of myself and then replacing it with something positive in coaching. I think it's so valuable. So that voice of negativity, especially things like I can't go to the gym, I can't work out, I'm not that person, I'm an indoor person, like it isn't even, I'm somebody that makes a joke of things a lot of times because there's hurt behind it. They say that a lot of times, that someone that's a comedian is usually like dealing with a lot of hurt and anguish. And so I'm used to making an excuse in a funny way, but it's not funny if I am not enjoying all of the freedom that fitness provides. And so moving forward, we realized, okay, this is not a yo-yo diet. I am not going to like gain, lose. We've lost and it's not coming back. So are we gonna go out and live our life? Are we gonna have, you know, a smaller shirt and an extra large life?
I love that.
And that's what
we gotta do something with that.
We are really enjoying that. So part of that is moving. And you know, I was somebody that when I would help the kids with homework, I would be like, oh, if it's math, you got to go to daddy because I'm not that person. And I feel like I was the same way with fitness. I was like, you know, he's the guy that's like thinks CrossFit is valuable and like movement is valuable, but I'm not that person. Like, go to him with this. And I think a lot of times you have so much success with the keto diet that you're like, I don't have to work out.
So that's an interesting point. How was your experience? So we talk about do keto your way.
Yeah.
That's something that you guys talked about before.
Yeah.
How has your way changed from when you first started to where you are now?
Tons.
Okay, so it's interesting that you asked this, because the journey for us for the first year and a half to 2 years, I mean, I got off of all my arthritis medications and my painkillers, and it took me 6 months to even realize that I wasn't taking arthritis medication anymore. I didn't even notice it until one day at the end of a football game, I came home and I looked at Rachel and I'm like, I haven't taken a painkiller in 6 months. And usually I needed one after every football game. So it was an interesting journey, and the weight came off really easy. And then somewhere in there, I don't know exactly when this happened, probably right about the start of COVID, I got so fearful that I was gonna put the weight back on, because again, been morbidly obese my entire life.
Right.
And now we have a YouTube channel, which we started because we had always walked with our head down.
Yeah.
We were always afraid to look up because we were ashamed of ourselves. And we had gone to KetoCon a couple of years ago and we saw everybody walking with their head up and we were like, we're on a mission now. We're on a mission to change the world and have everybody walk with their head up because we knew what it was like.
Yep.
And so we felt accountable to our community. And honestly, our community in our Two Crazy Ketos family motivates me every day.
Yeah.
Where the days where I'm like, I don't know if I want to keep doing this. I don't know if I make a difference. And then somebody sends us their story and
Right.
it keeps me going.
Yeah.
But somewhere in the last 4 years, probably about a year and a half ago, I got so fearful that I went back to restricting. I lost all of this weight having an occasional mug cake and not thinking about what we were eating. We were just eating beef and chicken and some veggies and we didn't care. We put butter in everything and we put some heavy cream in our recipes. And somewhere I'm like, you're gonna gain your weight back if you keep doing this. And we started intermittent fasting every single day where you have to OMAD and you can only eat within a 1 hour window every day.
Right.
And we started, I'm hungry at 9 a.m., but my watch says you're not allowed to eat for another 10 hours.
Right.
So I would starve myself. And we started, you know what, we got to stop eating the 80-20 ground beef and we got to start eating only chicken breast. And then I met you last January and we were in Omaha and we had just met each other. And I was like, man, that's a good looking 25-year-old guy. And 6 months later, I learned that we're the same age.
Yeah. Happy birthday, by the way.
And I was like, what am I doing wrong? Like, why have I put 15 pounds back on and I'm eating less now than I was when I started keto? Yeah. What is going on? And you and I started talking and Robert Sykes and I were talking. And he's like, you're not eating enough food. And I'm like, what do you mean I'm not eating enough food? I'm eating chicken breast. I'm eating lots of chicken breast. And you're like, you're not eating enough fat. And I sat down in April and I figured out that I was back to eating less than 1,000 calories of food. And we don't like to talk about calories. We like to
Right.
talk about grams of protein and fat. But I was eating less than 1,000 calories of food. And a lot of that was chicken breast, which those calories don't even count.
Yeah.
And so I put myself back into screwing up my metabolism all over again, because here's my problem. Every time I look in that mirror, I see the 300-pound Joe.
Yeah. Right.
Every time I look at a picture of myself, I see the 300-pound Joe.
Right.
Yeah.
And so it has always been a battle for me. And now we started this challenge with Dr. Berry to only eat beef, butter, bacon, and eggs. And I'm realizing, hey, you can eat breakfast. Hey, you can eat as much as you want. I feel better. Any of the inflammation I had has gone
Yep.
away. And I'm not saying that all this stuff is bad, so long as you're putting it in its place. But when I'm eating keto bars and things like that, because I'm hungry instead of eating a
meal.
hard-boiled egg, that's where I was screwing myself up.
Yep.
And one of the things that I'm learning, having worked with you and working with Dr. Berry, is you need to listen to your body. Like, stop feeding yourself based on a watch and start feeding yourself based on your body system. So one day, my body may say, hey, it's time for breakfast. Another day, it'd be like, you're good until 6 o'clock at night.
Yep.
And so that has been a really interesting journey. And now all of a sudden, I bought this shirt last year at Universal Studios.
It says I gotta pee.
And here's the thing, they only had one. And I used to wear a medium. When I lost all my weight on keto, I wore a medium, and then I put on 15 pounds and I was back into a large. And I bought the shirt saying, Rachel's like, why are you buying it? You can't even wear it. I'm like, because I need to get back into that shirt.
Yeah.
And they only have a medium. So, and it was on 50% off.
Gold
so
shirt,
I'm
yeah.
gonna buy it. I didn't even buy it as a gold shirt. I just really like the fact that it says I gotta pee.
He just likes to embarrass me in public.
So
I said,
we
pocket.
got here and I put it on. And Rachel's like, can you wear this
Dang
today?
it.
And I'm like, it's a medium.
Looks good to me.
It's not tight.
Yeah.
I don't have a bunch of rolls coming out. I have no idea what I weigh.
Yep.
Okay. And like Rachel said, we've had a daily battle that getting the scale, and Dr. Bear's like, I don't want you to get on the scale for 45 days.
Yep.
You can't get on a scale.
Like we've talked before, and like I say, I think the beef, butter, bacon, and egg challenge is genius on so many levels because it forces. Like there's some movements in fitness that if you try to do those movements, it's going to point out your flaws. It's going to point out where you have weaknesses, where you have imbalances. the BBBE challenge does that for people from a mental and a nutritional perspective.
What we have learned mentally is
helps you
amazing.
identify all the different mindset things, the things you tell yourself, the incorrect information you based your whole life on.
Yeah.
Like it just brings up all that stuff and makes you question, wait a second, my body's smart, my body can manage itself. Like, what are you talking about? I can eat till I'm full, I don't have to starve myself. Willpower is not part of my nutritional plan.
Right.
Right? A schedule is not, I don't have to look at my watch, like you said. I shouldn't have to look at my watch to determine when and what I eat.
And it also answers a lot of our carb addiction, because
Right.
you still, at the end of the day, we're still, addicts when it comes to carbohydrates. Like we depended on them for years. And do we crave bread like when we go into the supermarket anymore and we smell it? No, I don't do that. But the addictive excuse behavior is still there.
Yeah.
And sometimes you just have to, I love what Nicole Burgess was talking about in her talk yesterday, where she could have ended on the note of motivation is important when you are, trying to reach your health goals. But then she ended with, but you need determination too. You have to just decide, like, I'm doing this.
Yeah.
And I think that it's very easy as addicts to work back in all of your excuses. So you need something that's like, can I have this, because someone says, well, this is the plan. And I mean, God bless you for, I'm sure you get a lot of excuses where here's the plan for the day workout. This is what you're supposed to do. And immediately it's like, well, can I change this or do this, or do we have to do this? Or, and that's the first thing that happens with me is I have all of these clarifying questions that are really just excuses that I'm trying to throw up there.
Yeah.
But when you're keeping your food very simple, when you say, well, can I have this? Well, is it part of these things?
Right.
No. Well, then no, you can't have that.
Right.
And I kind of need a fence around it. And not to be ashamed about that. You put a fence around things that are important and valuable.
Yep.
Like we have a fence up because we love our dog and we don't want to let our dog out and then her just run away and we
Right.
never see our dog again. It's important. We cherish what is in that fence. So I feel like instead of thinking bad about myself because I need boundaries, I think I am precious and that is why I put boundaries up.
Right.
It's
Yeah.
important.
Protect what's important. I like that.
Yeah, it was interesting because when Dr. Berry came to us with this, we were just sitting in Omaha in the house talking, and he came to us and I said to him, in Kentucky, I have a question. Can I have stevia? Because I like my Redmond Electrolytes, my Relight, and I'm on the field for 8 hours every Saturday. And he was like, you're an adult man, Joe. You can do what you want.
It was like, oh.
But I think that you can go 30 days with no stevia. I really think you can do it. And that was a hard thing for me. I mean, I'm of everything that we're not currently eating, that was the hardest thing for me because I've been used to having a Zevia with dinner.
Or the sweet taste.
I've been used to having to rely on, my Redmond Electrolytes, which I will go back to. But I really didn't think I would be able to go 30 days without it. Mm-hmm. And we put in the beginning of this challenge, I said on camera, if I need it, I'm going to have it. And I have driven around in my truck with an entire bag of those sticks, and I have not opened one up yet.
That's awesome.
And it was a really interesting learning thing. And the one thing I want to thank you for, because we wouldn't even be here if it wasn't for you, because you were the one who opened us up to eating more on a 1-to-1 ratio.
Yes.
Because had gotten to the point, it's been an interesting journey in keto, because when we got started, everybody demonized protein.
Right.
Because we've been doing this for 4 years. So everybody was like, you can't eat a lot of protein. And of course, I didn't have any hair, but Rachel's hair was all falling out and we didn't feel really good, but we were losing weight. And then all of a sudden, somewhere in the last 4 years, the shift has gone from demonizing protein to demonizing fat. And now everybody's just eating really low fat and eating more protein. And you're seeing the same kind of a thing, and you're seeing an unhealthy thing. And you came to me and said, no, there's a balance. You need to be in the middle. And I secretly was telling Rachel, of course, never admitting to you, when you're telling me I want you to eat 150 grams of fat, and I would go home and get off the live streams with you and the Zoom calls and say, he's crazy. He's crazy. I'm not eating 150 grams of fat. I want to lose weight. I've got man boobs. And it wasn't until Dr. Berry said, now you don't have a choice.
Right.
Because
It's
all
be
you're getting is beef, butter, bacon, and eggs, and there is
him.
nothing lean in there.
Right.
So,
And
now I'm like, Bronson was right.
we are living proof that Bronson was dead right.
That's
like
awesome.
that,
That's awesome.
But it took like you being forced into this to actually do it when you have no other options. And sometimes you need that.
That's the wonderful thing about the community of all the people that are out here like you guys trying to help other people. It takes a different voice sometimes. It takes a different perspective, a different method, even though it's essentially the same thing. BBBE, beef, butter, bacon, and eggs, is essentially the same as what I talk about with one-to-one.
Yes.
But it's totally different.
Yeah.
Right.
In the approach, in the methodology, like it's just different. It's just different ways to look at how to do it, but they do the same thing.
Well,
Right.
we work with children. I've been in kids ministry for 29 years. And so we have learned as we develop curriculum for children that there's 7 different learning styles.
Yes.
So some people are tactile and some people are audio-visual. So like, yeah, I mean, you're presenting it. It's the same thing that Bronson's saying, but some people need to see, I need to see it in the food. Like I need to see
Right.
what does it look like? You know, I need to see what does 150 grams of protein look like? It's that, you know, that's just helped us to kind of see it visually, because it seems like that's a lot of the struggle with people doing keto, is trying to understand like what is their macros, like how are you going to approach your eating plan, like
Right.
what is it going to look like? And we definitely think that of all the things we've seen in the last 4 years, this one-to-one that you've shown us makes the most sense, and I can visually see it a lot easier, because you know when you're in Chronometer or Carb Manager or whatever you're using, you're plugging things in and taking them out and trying to see it, and it just makes it so much easier.
And one of the things that it's done for us is it's freed us.
Yeah.
So I talk about like no longer eating to my watch. Well, one-to-one freed us from tracking anything. And I want to make it clear, one-to-one is similar, like you said, to what Dr. Berry says, where Dr. Berry says eat all that you want
Of the
until
right
you're
foods.
full of the right foods
Right.
2 or 3 times a day.
Yep.
It's the same thing, only the one-to-one allows you, what if you don't know if you're full? We didn't know that we
Yeah.
were full. So
Gives
for the
you a
first couple
target
of
to
weeks,
kind of look at. Yeah.
Yeah.
we were able to go, okay, this is how much should I. Now, people will say, what are your macros? How much did you eat today? I have no idea. I ate until my body said stop eating.
Yep.
And it has been really freeing to know that because I'm eating the right things, I'm going to be good. And I'm really happy about it. Now, does that mean I'm never going to have any heavy cream again? No. You know, I'm going to have a keto brick. I'm going to have that stuff. But I'm going to put it in its place as well and start to really focus on what does your body say to you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How so you guys know I'm all about the fitness side of things.
Yes.
Yep.
How
Fitness
has you've gone through this journey of nutrition? When did you started doing CrossFit? At that time, correct me if I'm wrong, I feel like the CrossFit and that weight loss, that fat loss challenge that you were doing was more of the mentality of if I exercise more, I'll lose more fat.
It was
Yes.
all exercise.
Right,
You gotta
exercising
exercise,
to
you gotta
lose fat, right?
exercise, you got to exercise.
How has your outlook on fitness changed along with your
Well,
change
for
of nutrition?
me, that has changed tremendously, because before I met you, I was all about the cardio. I thought if I
just walking.
Yeah, just walking. So I thought if I get 5 miles of walking a day, then I should see a change in my arms. I don't know why. I thought that like if you just walk your legs off, your arms get it too. And so when you talked about, and then I had to budget that much time in the day to get 5 or 10 miles in, and that was a big chunk. So when you talked about switching out for strength training and doing more things to build that muscle building, I thought, well, I'm going to do 15, 30 minutes, 45 minutes, depending on the day, to get in that, but that's not going to do anything. But it has. It's been amazing, and I feel like I have more time in my day. It's amazing what the strength training will do, and we didn't have to buy a home gym. Like, we have a rower machine, and we have resistance bands, and we have a bench
and a couple of dumbbells.
And a couple of dumbbells, and it's been amazing. All of the different exercises that I've been able to do at home with that,
Right.
and also take be able to utilize my local parks where and the other thing that's really good about you, Bronson, is understanding that you're going to lay out, okay, I need you to do pull-ups, or I need you to do sit-ups, or that kind of thing, and immediately I'm going to say, well, I can't do push-ups, I don't know how to do it, and you're like, well, you're going to bring the floor up to you, and you're going to do this, and then have steps to get to the perfect push-up, the perfect pull-up, but you're not opting out of this. We're going to modify it the way you need it, but you're doing it, baby.
There's another t-shirt. There's no opt-out.
There's no opt-out. There's no, because he's got you're an excuse killer. I mean, you're just like killing all my excuses.
That's the new definition of coach. Excuse killer.
You are annihilating all of my excuses. So yeah, I'm at the park with a box and doing pull-ups until I can't just say, hey, I'm a girl, I don't have upper body strength, so that means I don't get to do this. I will do all the leg workouts, I'll just do leg day and not arm day. And so my son has even walked with me to the park and brought the bucket that I need. And I asked him, like, are you embarrassed, like, bringing these kind of things to help your mom, like, do stuff? And he's like, why would I be embarrassed when you're getting healthy? And me carrying your bucket means you're gonna live longer and, like, be well and be there for my kids. And this is important. Your kids care about you. P.S. Like it's important for you. And maintaining mobility for a long period of time, well into when you're a senior, I think is so important. And I don't think we talk about it enough.
Yeah, you have definitely helped me to recognize, because I lost all the weight without doing any real fitness other than being an official for lacrosse and football. But see, that was a lot of fitness for me, because like as a lacrosse official, during lacrosse season, I worked 15 games a week. And on a high school game, you walk/run an average of 5 miles. So when you're doing 2 of those a day, Monday to Friday, and then Saturday you're doing a bunch of youth league games, I was walk/running like 75 miles a week just during my lacrosse games. But when COVID came around and all that went away, all of a sudden my only fitness went away. But I've got some dear friends here in the keto community, and Robert Sykes and Danny Vega and Logan Delgado, Goody Beads. But the problem is they're half my age. Yeah. And they make me feel like it's not possible.
Yeah. Right.
And so when I met you, and I'm like, now there was no more excuse.
Because
we're the same age.
Yes.
Right? We're the same age. So it's like, it's one thing to look at Logan in there and be like, okay, but, he can do that. He's 30-something years old. I'm 50 years old with all kinds of medical issues and pins in my ankle. But when you come along and be like, well, wait a second, you can do a little bit. And so it really has been this motivation that, you do what you can, and we can modify things. Like you said to me, like, listen, we're going to work on your ankle. Yeah, it's a 30-year-old injury that you've lost all the range of motion, but let's do the rowing machine with one leg. And I'm noticing that,
excuse killer.
It's just picking up more and more and more. So it's really helped us to go like,
and then
we need the motivation and we need to have this fitness. And our daughter-in-law kind of summed it all up for us. She sent Rachel a text message the other day, and it had us both crying. We actually put it in a video. Because, Rachel's talking about, our son bringing the bucket. Well, she sent us a thing, and she's a CrossFit coach.
Okay, I didn't know that. Okay.
And so she actually said, so many parents say they would die for their children. But my question is, will you live for us?
Right.
Like, will you take all of the steps necessary to lose the weight, to lower your A1C, to get rid of the diabetes, to do more fitness, to be able to walk, to not have to be in a mobility scooter? Will you do all of that and live for us so that you can be around longer?
Right. Yeah.
And, again, you think about, I'll die for you, but they don't want us to die for them.
It's harder to live. But what I was going to say was, and then we meet Coach Bronson's mom, and my mom
excuse killer.
My mom calls me up. She's like, "Oh crap, he just hit me too," because there's just no excuses.
Yeah.
And man, I'm glad there's no excuses, because I remember when we turned in Joe's handicapped parking sticker, and we didn't need that anymore, and we celebrated that day because we knew, okay, moving forward, he's not going to need a wheelchair. And why in there? There's more success to be had.
Yep.
So there's more things. So like we've got a future where we're going to be able to be stronger and lift more. And my posture is not like where it is and it can't get any better. You know, my bones are not like, well, you know, you're right here is where your bones are and there's no, you know, getting any better. I mean, Miss Claire has like showed us that like, yes, you can reverse osteoporosis too. And it involves building those bones and strength training.
Yep.
And yes, it's going to be hard, but like, don't you want to feel good? Like we feel good now, but there's more goody to be had. Not just goody beats. There's more goody inside of your body to be had. And I want the full value of what this life has to offer.
That's awesome. That's awesome. How would you guys sum up the experience?
Life changing.
Yeah. A complete turnaround. And, you know, one of the things that keto worked out is anxiety and depression. I feel like if you're somebody that has struggled with anxiety or depression your whole life, like I have, since a child, not been able to go out in public, you know, the way that my life has just been blessed by this, it's you just can't even quantify it because of the fact that my life now does not resemble the life that I was living, the thought pattern that I have now. You know, Goody Beats was talking about how he feels like this has spoken to him on a spiritual level because he's like, even my motivation has changed because my why used to be I want to look a certain way, and it was kind of all packaged in that I want to look a certain way.
Yep.
And now it is just so hopeful for the future, and you're thinking to yourself, like, as we get stronger, as we push ourselves and we do more things and we incorporate fitness and we learn new things from powerful coaches like you, we think, gosh, how can we bless others? Yeah. We have an opportunity to spread the news and then also to live it out and demonstrate it for people who are like, I don't know if that's going to work.
Yeah.
Let us be the guinea pig and show you that it does work, and then hopefully give you that boldness to take it into your own life.
Yeah, I think the only bad thing about keto is that there's not enough people doing it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
You're absolutely right.
And you need the guidance. You know, a lot of times we think as lay people doing it that just we'll somehow be able to curate our own information. I don't want to do keto on my own. I really need doctors and I need coaches who really understand fitness and like what this move is doing for my body. You know, you're knowledgeable on, you know, what we should be eating from a nutritional standpoint.
Yeah.
And I need to come to you and get the truth and not just be like bing bang bonging around and being like, hopefully I will hit on something that works. Wouldn't it just be easier to come to somebody who knows that it's going to work?
Help!
And then get the right answer, because there's a lot of answers, there's a lot of information on the internet.
Well, that's where it's tricky from what you're saying. There's a lot of right answers.
Yes.
They may not be right for you.
Yes.
Right? Something that will work for you may not work for you.
Well,
and that may flip.
Yeah.
Right? So
interesting
it's
you
all
say
different,
that.
right? So
one of the things that you talk about, the 1-to-1 and the beef, butter, bacon, and egg challenge, and we've become aware of issues we have. As good of our marriage is, it fixed something in our marriage that we didn't know was broken.
oh, really?
Right.
This is interesting.
So one of the things, both of us, as we're going to say, some people are going to say this is the wrong word, but we're going to say we have food insecurity.
Right.
Like we had to eat right now and eat as much as we possibly can shove in our face because we didn't know the next time we were going to eat. We also had to eat the same amount. So even though I'm a 50-year-old man weighing, 200 pounds, and Rachel is a 46-year-old woman weighing 145 pounds, we felt that we had to eat the same amount of food.
Yeah.
And at the same time. Well, here's the problem. Rachel can out-eat me. She can eat me under the table. We go to Buffalo Wild Wings, she can eat 30 wings, I can't get 15 down.
Right.
But those 30 wings will sustain her for the entire day. I want to eat in 4 or 5 hours. It's
right.
just the way my body is.
Yeah.
But for all of these years, it caused us to, I would lay out, because I make all the food, the same food, and then have to go sneak eat later because I can't eat in front of her because she's going to feel deprived.
Right.
And it's going to upset us and it's going to affect our marriage.
Wow. Okay.
Okay? And then she could have the same issue of, Joe's not ready to eat. I want to eat, but I can't eat in front of him
So I
because
gotta
now he
wait.
made something. So she's either going to wait or she's going to go sneak eat.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And
Okay.
so what this has made us realize, and we really noticed it just today, 27 days into this BBBE challenge, we went out to eat at an all-you-can-eat Brazilian steakhouse last night. She out-ate me, probably 2-1. And this morning I said to her, I'm kind of hungry. And she's like, I'm still full from last night. And it clicked. That's okay that I'm hungry.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right? It's okay.
Yes.
She can eat more in a sitting and that can sustain her longer.
Yes.
And it's okay.
And I can't.
And it's okay that I am full.
Yes.
And so going out, it's like, okay, if you need to go out to lunch, it is okay. Like, we need to stop worrying about what other people think or what even we perceive other people are
Right.
thinking, because half the time, no one's even caring what you're doing. So if you go out to eat, if we go out to eat and I'm having a glass of water because I'm not hungry and you're eating a plate of wings because you are, that's okay.
Sure.
We're there.
You're not obligated to get something, right?
And
Yeah.
the interactions, because food is so much a part of all of relationships. You know, you get together with your family and you're saying it's all about the food. It's not all about the food. It's all about the family. Food just happens to be there.
Right.
So if we can go into the holiday season and be like, I'm here for the fellowship. If the food is there, great. If there's something I can eat, that's awesome. But no matter what is out, whether I pick it up or I need to eat before I come to a function because I just know there's not going to be anything there, it's okay if I don't eat someplace. It's just all about the friends and the family, and your relationships are more than what is set on the table around what is going on.
Yep.
So to sum up what you had said, like, how does our future look? And the risk of her jumping out in a song, for me, the future is bright.
Yes.
Because my dad died at the age of 64 from brain cancer.
Yeah.
Her dad died at a young age.
Yeah.
My grandfather died at a young age. And I remember getting married to her 15 years ago saying, I don't expect to live past 65.
Right.
Because the men in my family just don't live that
don't.
long.
Yeah.
My dad had a very serious heart attack when he was 50 years old.
Yeah.
And we expected by the time I was 50 years old, I was going to be in a wheelchair. And to be now 50, almost 51 years old, I feel like I'm 25. I may
Yes.
not look like I'm 25 yet, but I feel like I'm 25.
I think you do.
And so for me, I don't expect to die at 65 anymore.
Right.
I expect to live to 80 or 90 years
Absolutely.
old.
So you're making
and I
plans.
didn't feel that way 4 years ago.
Yeah. You're
Yeah.
making different plans.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we want you making different plans.
For sure. Awesome, guys. Thank you for doing this.
Thanks
I
so
appreciate it.
much.
We'll have to talk the next time about if keto's sustainable or not, because I know
Oh,
that's
yeah.
definitely a topic you guys have some thoughts on
Yes.
things to talk about, right?
Anytime.
Awesome, guys. All right, we'll check you later. Anything you want to end with?
No.
We love you.
We love you.
You can do this.
All right. See you later, guys.